One thing that's beautiful about sailing, you leave all your worries behind. I was so into the sailing moment, and I came around the breakwater. I saw my wheelchair. I exclaimed, "Oh, yeah, there's my wheelchair." I completely forgot about my disability at the time.
Hey, you just heard Jason, and we have special guest today. He's the Sailable crew. When you talk about sailing opportunities for persons with disabilities, the Mobility Cup, and experience the members have on the water, I hope you enjoy it. We have today Jason Everett, Carson Murray, Sheldon Higdon, and Kevin Penny. Maybe we can start talking about the Sail Able program. Do you remember how long since the foundation for the Sail Able here in Canada? When was it?
We've been in business or been involved here in Nova Scotia since, I think Jason said, 1989. So quite a while. I don't know how long it's been in Canada, but probably a little bit longer because we weren't the first.
BC was the first program that came out with it after Rick Hansen was given a vote. That's how the Sail program started to evolve from.
And think about the qualities of skills that are essential for someone who works or wants to work with Sail Able. Is there something that you would like to highlight?
As a volunteer, we take just about anybody with 2 feet and a heartbeat. It's a pretty wide swath of people. As long as you've got a good heart and you're willing to help out, we're happy to have you. As for coaches and staff, there's a lot more restrictions on who we can take because we need people to be Sail Canada certified if you're on the water. We need to have a few more professional certifications, but generally speaking, it's a reasonably low barrier to entry. As long as you've been sailing for a little bit, we can probably get you past. If you have an hour during the summer, a couple hours during the summer, if you want to donate some time, we're always welcoming volunteers. We actually have a few sort of volunteer introductory sessions coming up on Zoom in the next little while.
So I heard the word barbecue. Can you describe how Sail Able adapts for individuals who needs access to the waters?
Best way to start would be to come out at our annual barbecue and open house try it, sail it day. People can get in the boat, see how they like it, go for a short sail. We're adaptable for a wide range of people with disabilities. We have a lift to get people in a boat. We have technology for those with low hand control to use a joystick, or sip and puff for those without use of their arms. They can steer the boat and do everything with 2 straws.
And the barbecue is usually in mid-June or the 3rd week in June.
So it's an open invite for everybody who wants to learn about the program.
Everybody's invited. It's Royal Nova Scotia Yacht Squadron. Usually we have it on a weekend. We do it for a Saturday. If it rains on that Saturday, it gets pushed to the Sunday.
And people can find out when the barbecue is by keeping an eye on our Facebook page. And they can find that under Sail Able Nova Scotia.
Often the barbecue is a really nice time for you to meet all of the volunteers, all of the board members, previous sailors, and also to try out the boats, to physically get out there and see if that's for you. But it's a really lovely time to we're launching boats, we're getting people out, we're using the Hoyer lifts, you're meeting all the staff, you're meeting all the volunteers, and everybody's just so happy to finally be back on the water that it's usually a really good, really fun time.
I think it takes some of the anxiety away, Dan, when people can come and see other people doing it or seeing what they're all about beforehand, so they can make that informed decision whether or not they think they want to try it or not. So it's a great community event too. We often have folks coming from the community. Some people don't even come to go sailing; they just come to support our organization. So it's usually a really fun day, and we have a lot of people usually come out.
So I can share something about what happened with me the first time I tried sailing, about the anxiety the students have when you go the first time and try the boat. What they tell you.
You're always with an instructor, so there's always somebody with you. For me, I'm a C4-5, so I have low mobility. You're strapped in, you have your life jacket on, so your chest is strapped in. You can't move, your waist is strapped in. For me personally, I use the sip and puff for the windlass. So I control the boat with straws, and by blowing in or out to go forward or starboard or bring the jib in or out, or so with somebody there, there's very little. I mean, and the boats are very stable. I would think it'd be very hard to tip a boat. And if the wind is too high, they'll cancel the sail. So they're very cautious that way.
Yeah, well, and just for anybody who's not kind of plugged into the able community, C4, C5 is the type of spinal injury that the place on the spine where the injury took place. So low mobility, basically below the neck. And yeah, two of the big things are professional, nationally certified instructors, and we have special boats, the Martin 16s, that are designed specifically so that you can't tip them. And even if you do, you can't ever have it come over and not come back. But even if you're heeled over, 45 degrees, you let off the sails, and instantly the bulb keel brings you right back up. It was designed specifically with able sail in mind, so it's very comfortable for that purpose.
And this is why we have our barbecue and try it sail, our open house. People can feel that heel over on the side and determine themselves if this is something too scary or if it's something that they can handle. And we've not had many people that have had anxiety enough that they do not sail.
Jason, let me poke you in that one because we discussed about the anxiety, but let's talk about the good experience. When you go to the water, no more anxiety. Now you're sailing. How was the experience? So maybe describe your experience. How was it the first time you went to the water and say, now I'm sailing? How was it?
One thing that's beautiful about sailing is every time you get out on the water, you leave all your worries behind. You're not even thinking about that. My first couple of experiences myself were quite profound in the fact that I was so into the sailing moment and enjoying the absolutely incredible moments out there that when I came in and I came around the breakwater, I saw my wheelchair and I exclaimed, "Oh, yeah, there's my wheelchair." I completely forgot about my disability at the time because I was so immersed in everything that was going on. Yeah, it was the most wonderful experience. And I will tell anyone that I meet about Sailable because of this. For me personally, it also helps me deal with depression that has come from PTSD. And it's something you look forward to so very much every year. And once you're on the water, yeah, as they say, no worries.
Yeah, I would echo what Jay said. I remember the first time I heard about disabled sailing and found out that I'd be able to sail the boat by blowing and sucking on two straws. I didn't really believe it, but I remember when I got into that boat, like Jay said, like all your worries go away. It's really the only other time other than in my power wheelchair where I can really control where I'm going and have a sense of where I'm going. And once you leave that dock, you forget about all those things and the wind's in your face and you just have a great time and just keep wanting to go back for more and more, I found. So it's quite addictive pretty quickly.
I want to hear for Sheldon, but I want to poke you, Kevin. I saw your video that you are with Carson Murray. The smile on your face, man, you are flying that boat. So it was so fun, so nice. So if somebody's curious, go there to YouTube and Google Kevin Payne, Rick Mercer. You see that's happening as well. It's really, really fast. I can tell you. It's nice. Do you think that can be competitive as well?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Sheldon.
No, I was just gonna say there are competitions like Mobility Cup. I mean, the boats are taken by railway to wherever there's a regatta you want to go to, or you could just do it for pleasure, depending on the person. Usually, I started off with for pleasure and ended up eventually going competitive. But I didn't start. Kevin started at what 30. I didn't start till my mid 40s, so I haven't been sailing as long.
Yeah, I started in my 30s as well, and I did the same as Sheldon. Went out, sailed recreationally, then said, "Well, challenge me. What else can I do next?" And you learn step by step ways to sail the boat and sail it smartly. And then from there, what's more? And I got into competitive sailing, and it's wonderful because you're competing not only against others, but against yourself. Every year you can see your growth. It's a wonderful way to meet other sailors as well from across the country.
Sheldon talked about the Mobility Cup, Dan. I just want to kind of tell what that is. That's a national regatta, a race regatta for persons with disabilities. And every year it's somewhere different in Canada. There's like a bidding process. And usually they have between 15 and 20, 30 to 40 sailors and two fleets, kind of a beginner fleet and a more experienced fleet that race over the run of a week. And it's a great time for people who've never raced before to try it, or more experienced racers. And it's just a nice time. You get to hang out with a lot of your friends that you've met throughout the years through sailing. There's a lot of repeat people that go. So that event is very, very powerful. And we've hosted it here in Halifax a couple times, which has been nice. So it's a good legacy program. You can raise some money and help with a legacy for your program. That's how we were able to obtain the two boats that we do have, was through those avenues. So yeah, the Mobility Cup is a lot of fun, and this year it's in Toronto, the last week of August.
So for the Mobility Cup, if you have to be a sail club to host that one, can you think about the infrastructure required? So what if anything about the infrastructure for people with disabilities has to be prepared in that club to receive the Mobility Club? Or do we have this in Nova Scotia today in all the clubs? Is there something you suggest the clubs should think about?
Yes, usually there's a pretty significant infrastructure program that has to be put in place before you run an event like that. The big things that we look for is the docks need to be refitted with places for Hoyer lifts, which is the human lift to get them in and out of the boats. And that means the physical structure of the dock needs to be rebuilt. So that's usually a fairly involved process. The other big thing is most of the ramps to get on and off of the shore, on and on to the dock, typically there's a fair lip between getting off of the land and onto the ramp, and then off of the ramp and onto the dock. And that's not acceptable for somebody that, especially with a power chair, it's just, that's quite dangerous. So there's a few things like that, as well as just physically, regular accessibility upgrades, like ramps from the parking lot up to your paved walkway or your grass walkway. Oftentimes there's quite a lip on the edge of your concrete pavement. And so things like that are things that often aren't considered when building a small club. And if that club grows and sort of you add on things piece by piece, eventually gets to the point where to run an event like that, you need a pretty significant infrastructure upgrade to do it. There are a bunch of clubs around that have that, and there is money available through accessible sports programs that allow clubs to upgrade their facilities like that. But it's a distinct endeavor to upgrade your club to be able to host an event like this.
Perfect. So if you, as a beginner student and want to enjoy it today, I know that Sailable has this in the Royal Nova Scotia, so it's here and close to Armdale. I know that are probably 4 or more clubs in Nova Scotia that offers the same kind of approach today, correct?
I think it's 3, including us.
3, okay.
There's one in Lunenburg, one in Sydney, and one here in Halifax, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep.
And Lunenburg will be hosting the Mobility Cup in 2024. So it's going to be here in Nova Scotia again, and the first time in Lunenburg. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
And last year was in North Sydney.
Who you compete there? Are you going there, Kevin?
We'll send some boats for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Are you training for that next one, Kevin and Sheldon?
Lunenburg?
Yeah.
Or Toronto? Lunenburg. I'll go to Lunenburg, which is nice and close. Easy to drive back and forth.
I haven't made a decision whether or not I'm going to Toronto yet. It really depends. We'll see, but I will definitely be there in Lunenburg next year as well.
I'm gonna say, I'm ditto. I'm not sure about Toronto or not. Just before COVID, I went to Ottawa, which was a nice time.
let me poke you about misconceptions, because when I started sailing, I heard from some friends about, oh, sailing is really expensive, it's impossible to learn, things like that. Do you see some misconceptions for people with disabilities to start sailing? And is there something Sailable is doing now to clear these misconceptions, bring people to start and try it?
Yes, for people that might not have the means to get into sailing, we have Sailable Sailorship Awards that we can give out to people and completely fund their whole season.
You can probably imagine, Dan, sailing is quite expensive for anyone to get into when you buy a boat. So Sailable gives all people an opportunity to go sailing without having to spend a lot of money to do it, to be able to get a qualified instructor to teach them along the way, and to ensure that the opportunity is fun and safe. And obviously we want to have repeat business. We want people to come back and continue to sail.
Like right now, some people purchase their own sailorship award, and a lot of people donate the award. So depending on the number of people that donate a sailorship, then it's drawn, like people put their names in to be drawn for the sailorship award. And from there, if your name gets drawn, then you sail for free, or you can purchase the sailorship award by yourself and guarantee your spot.
Thanks, Dan. We'll be talking.
Sure thing, Kevin. Thank you again. So can you share some experience that you had with students that really helped them improve their life or helped them move forward with some issues they just presented in the beginning? I know that Sheldon just raised about PTSD is something important as well. It's not physical, but mental as well.
Yeah, so I've been coaching, not specifically with Sailable, but I've been coaching for about, just shy of 20 years. And the big thing for me is being on the water helps people be better people. It's the vehicle that helps you improve yourself. And the way that it does that is it gets you out onto the ocean, and it lets you see yourself through the mirror of the environment. And so the job of the instructor, I mean, there's things that you need to do to teach them the skills to physically operate the vessel. But one of the things that you do as a good instructor is to step back, and you're providing sort of an invisible safety net for the student to have their own experience and deal with whatever it is that's on their mind. If that's, they're having a great day and they just want to really appreciate all the lovely things that they have in their life, that's fantastic. And sometimes it's really emotional for someone to have the first free agent, independent experience they've had in a really long time. And so giving them the time and the space to process that in a safe environment, in an environment that's under their control, is very, very powerful. And if you're a good instructor, whether or not you're teaching folks with, whatever level of ability, being out in kind of a raw environment like the ocean is usually a very powerful experience for that reason, is that you're introduced to yourself for the first time in a long time.
It's almost a type of meditation that it's so calming. You can physically see the difference on people's faces before and after each sail. The stress load is gone, and the happiness, the amount of smiles that could light up the world after coming off the water is amazing.
And like Carson said, the instructors usually step back. Like if you want to practice your start, you can practice your starts. If you want to just go for a leisurely sail and, as you say, relax, enjoy the water, enjoy the sunshine, and then that's what you can do. But it's usually up to you, and the instructor is just there for a safety net and for you to learn. It's basically sailing, for me, anyways.
And it's great because it's one-on-one instruction that you get, and you will learn different skills and tricks from every different instructor that you have in the boat. Everybody has a different take on sailing and what they can teach you. As I mentioned earlier, it's a lifelong learning experience. We have a gentleman that is in his 80s. He's been sailing for more years than all of us have combined experience. he is still learning. And he's one of our best sailors as well.
It seems like every instructor has different terminology for the same thing. You learn a lot of new terminology.
Yeah, or different examples or way of thinking through a problem.
Yes.
That's one of the most wonderful things. So I'm helping run an instructor clinic with Sail Canada right now. And one of the things that we just talked about in our last meeting was how, particularly adult learners, they come in with so much lived experience and so many sort of mental grooves in their brain that help them think through problems really quickly. But sometimes it means that when you're explaining something to them, one particular way of thinking about it just doesn't mesh with the way that they think every day. So having 5 or 6 in your pocket is really nice to be able to say, okay, well, if this doesn't make sense, how about thinking about it this way, or how about trying it this way? And yeah, having a bunch of coaches around means that you get to try out a whole bunch of different ways of thinking through a problem, because each of us have different lived experience and different examples.
How about like fundraising? Is there some collaboration between Sail Able and other institutions that can happen, or you are working that one? You told about Sail Canada. Is there something else that is happening now that you want to communicate to everybody?
Well, biggest thing for the public is our Sailability Awards. So, I mean, we work with a bunch of other funding opportunities to get our capital needs met. So if we need repairs to a boat or something like that, usually that's something that we'll work with like a government funder or a government adjacent funder to help work through. But in terms of trying to get people on the water, our Sailability Awards are the biggest thing. So if somebody out of the goodness of their heart would like to donate a Sailability Award to send somebody for their season, that is an amazing gift that we would always welcome. And we have lots of posters up around the city at all of the local sailing clubs, and you can access it through the website, through our Facebook page. And that would be the big ask. If anyone who's listening would like to do that, we would be very, very grateful.
And they can donate by sending a $250 sailorship award and to our email address, sailableNS@gmail.com. And that'll automatically be deposited into our bank. We will give you a thank you on our Facebook site as well. It's always appreciated. It never goes to waste. If you don't have $250, grab 9 other friends. Everybody can donate 25.
Guys, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I will add all this information on our Facebook and Instagram pages, the Gmail as well from Sail Able. And I hope to see you guys on the water.
Thanks, Dan. Pleasure being here.